My name is Wesley Kuhn. I'm a sophomore here at Catawba, and I served in the Discover program this past summer. It is my honor tonight to serve as your MC. As such, it is my joy to welcome each and every one of you to this event where we report on and celebrate the campus ministry program at Catawba. We also would like to recognize tonight persons who have been and continue to be a vital part of this ministry. As with every event nowadays, unfortunately, not all of us can be here physically. We are restricted due to the current state of affairs, and some of us have to attend this event virtually. To those of you who are watching online tonight, I would like to extend a very special gratitude to you for deciding to join us tonight. Though it's sad we are unable to be together in person and to enjoy one another's company, we are still bound together by the passion we all share for this ministry. We are so grateful for the small but mighty number of supporters, staff, and students that are with us tonight. We would like to extend to you our heartiest welcome. Our first order of business is to bring Nolan Chilton to the podium to offer the invocation.
I join Wesley in welcoming you to tonight's program. This is my junior year, and as a result of opportunities I have had here, last year I concluded that I am called by God for some form of ministry. Therefore, I declared a major in religion with a concentration in Christian ministries. Currently, I am doing a practicum with an emphasis on how we reach people for Christ through activities such as volunteerism. I also lead a group of students who meet on Sunday mornings and worship remotely with the congregation of the First United Church of Christ in Salisbury, have lunch together, and discuss the scripture lessons and the sermon. I have special interest in youth ministry and most likely will serve in the Presbyterian denomination, which has been my home since birth. Please join me as we give thanks. Creator God, we give thanks to you for this opportunity to share in fellowship, to celebrate our shared love for you and engagement in ministry among and to your people, and take this time to recognize and give thanks for lives wonderfully lived in service to you. We entreat your blessings upon those gathered in this room and upon all who are sharing in this time virtually. In the midst of these trying and difficult times, we are mindful of and so very thankful for your love, for the tremendous gift of your Son, Jesus the Christ, for the help and comfort you bring to our lives, for the wonderful opportunities to serve and to grow in the faith, for the rich and abundant blessings you have heaped upon us. Among those blessings is the gift of food, and we ask that you bless this food to our nourishment, that we might have the physical strength and energy to be found faithful in our efforts to help those less fortunate and to share your love. We offer this prayer in the name of Christ our Lord. Amen. Let's eat.
Please continue eating, but we will continue with tonight's events. I am pleased to introduce the most recent addition to the Catawba ministry staff. Ms. Hannah Hutchins graduated this past year with a degree in religion. During college, she was an active member of the campus ministry community, including many campus ministry programs, especially the Discover program. In her current role as a Lilly Fellow, she continues to be heavily involved with Discover, as well as the Clergy Thriving program. In addition, she provides major support for the planning and execution of our weekly campus ministry services. She will now share with us all the exciting details and plans that have been put into action concerning these services.
Hello, everyone. As Wesley mentioned, my name is Hannah Hutchins, and I'm so honored and grateful to be the newest addition on the campus ministry staff. I joined in the summer after graduating with my religion and philosophy degree, and during my time as a student, I was actually the campus ministry intern as a senior And I got to help with worship planning. Worship planning last year and worship planning this year are a bit different. But it has allowed for us to look at things differently and for what I believe to be beautiful opportunities. We are now able to live stream our campus worship services every Tuesday at 9 p.m. via YouTube, allowing our whole Catawba community to join in when they might not have been able to before. So, if you're ever up on a Tuesday at 9 p.m. and you want something to do, go to YouTube and type in Catawba Campus Worship, and you will find our live stream service. You'll be able to hear the message, you'll listen to the music provided by our chapel scholars, and you'll be a part of community sharing and prayer and everything in between. I would like to add that this would not be possible without Ms. Catherine Parker. Kat, thank you for everything that you do. We appreciate you. In order to follow social distancing protocols, we have set up the chapel so people can sit 6 feet apart and be comfortable. Before COVID, we had a friendship circle where we would all come together, grab hands, and take part in our benediction. But now we have our COVID friendship circle where we get to spread out 6 feet apart and safely join together as one for our benediction. Unfortunately, with COVID, we have not been able to participate in congregational singing, and this one's the hardest one to deal with, but we have managed with outdoor services such as campfires and s'mores, and tonight we have a huge worship event in the stadium, under the stadium lights, where we can all spread out and sing together. Tonight we get to be one body, socially distancing, praising God as one. Finally, as you all know, other than events like this, we aren't really allowed to gather in large crowds, which allowed for the perfect opportunity to launch and introduce small groups. At the beginning of the semester, through a campus ministry survey, we asked people if they would be interested, what days worked best for them, and if they were willing to lead. I actually have a few small group leaders here tonight. Nolan, Merritt, Rebecca, and Kat, thank you for giving your classmates and your friends a place to come together and talk about the Lord. Small groups allow like-minded individuals to come together and talk about their faith and their life in a safe community. I'm grateful for the opportunity small groups provided, and I'm so excited to see how they unfold in the future. As you can see, COVID-19 has presented campus ministry and campus worship with some challenges, but I hope that you can also see the beauty in it as well. COVID has allowed us to think outside of the box, value our community together, and have a better understanding on why things like congregational singing are important to us. We've had a sermon series on faith, hope, and love, and COVID in general. So thank you to everyone, and I do mean everyone, who helped us with campus worship pull it all together. We could not do it without you. And one of the most special people that helps with campus worship, I would now like to call up Shannon Axtell Martin, who will provide information on our Youth Theology Institute, Discover, and our Clergy Network.
Thank you, Hannah. All right, I'm Shannon Axtell Martin. I am so glad to get to be here with you all tonight. I've been on staff with campus ministry for several years now. So I want to tell you a little bit about our Discover program and about our Clergy Network. So I'm going to actually start with the Clergy Network. So you can see up here on the right side of the screen our little logo for our virtual Catawba Clergy Days. So that's a program that we started with a new Thriving in Ministry grant. Last year was our first year of bringing clergy onto campus to meet our students, to mingle together, to have ongoing education opportunities, and to share in fellowship with one another. But this year we're meeting virtually, so we have a couple sessions that we'll do on Zoom, and we have some alumni speakers joining us and some local leaders who will be leading that continuing education for our clergy. So even though it's a different format, we're really excited about that. And some of our other exciting opportunities that we offer through the Catawba Clergy Network include communities of practice. So kind of like Hannah was talking about small groups that we're doing with our students, we have communities of practice where clergy gather together in a group to support, to talk about practical ministry needs, to share how they're doing. They'll troubleshoot issues that they're facing and really provide that community of support to be better in their ministry and to thrive. So we're really excited about those. We've got 7 new groups forming this year, and we've adding that on top of our 15 that we started with last year. So we're really excited to have that many active clergy in our Clergy Network program. And we also offer clergy grants to help them thrive in their ministry. So we've got some really exciting projects that our clergy are working on, and all of that is geared toward helping them thrive in their ministry. So I also want to talk about Discover. So like everything else, we had to pivot our Discover program. We had it in July this past year, 100% on Zoom. And so a neat thing about that, I did not put a picture up here of that because it actually kind of would have looked like that, all the little squares of our middle and high school youth. But they still showed up and still interacted and still built some community even through a screen, which I was just blown away. Our last session of our high school week, we had 2 students stay for 45 minutes after the whole thing ended just to be together. And we were honestly a little bit ready to turn off the Zoom call after 5 days in a row of being on Zoom for 4 hours a day, but they wanted to stay and talk and share together. So that was a really beautiful experience. And now our Discover team has been called on by the greater campus community to facilitate games and community building through Zoom because they got really good at that over the summer. So this summer, we hope and pray we will all be together in person to continue asking big questions about God, growing in our faith, and going deeper in our understanding of God. I think that's all I was going to say about Discover. Oh, one quick story. A student last year, Maya, it was her second year at Discover, and a lot of our students were disappointed because they'd all been very isolated and wanted to be together. And so it was really hard for them to say, okay, we had this vision in our mind of being together at Black Lake, and now we have to be home and on our screens. But Maya decided that she wanted to plan a talent show, and she did this by herself. She gathered all these videos from her colleagues, from her friends, from her cousins, and put it all together so that we could send it to the retirement home that we used to volunteer at, because she was thinking about them and how lonely they were. So it was this beautiful project that our student Maya put together, a high school student who lives in Greensboro. So I was so proud of how she was thinking creatively and caring about others, even though she was also feeling lonely and isolated. So we're excited to continue this Discover program with a new grant over the next 5 years. So we're going to be offering new tracks within the program so students can really think about theology practically through the lens of worship arts or through the lens of sports management. So thinking about theology and kind of how it hits the ground, how God can use us to serve him through anything that we do. So we're excited to continue on with that. And one of our changes that's recently happened is Jonathan Bowles has come on board as our assistant director. So we're thrilled to have him on board with Discover. He's always showed up because that's the kind of person he is, but now it's in a more official capacity. So we're excited to hear from you, Jonathan.
Well, good evening. Good evening. I'm smiling under this mask, you just can't tell. So it's good to see everyone. Even in the hardships that we found ourselves in this year, our Catawba family has continued to find ways to serve others because it's a part of who we are and who we've been called to be. This academic year, we have begun a sort of cultural onboarding experience for employees that we're going to begin this Friday, actually. And so it's called A Part of the Family, and this process is going to take 3 different sessions, and we're going to take them through what it means to be a part of the Catawba family, about the Catawba mission, about different core values that we have, and our institutional calling. We think in terms of personal calling, but let's think about institutional calling. And we'll be running through some of those things. And that's a new program that we've gotten through a grant that we just received this year. So we're really excited about that. Another thing in terms of Volunteer Catawba, we've had some hardships there in terms of COVID, but we've found ways to address that. And we've served in very responsible and safe ways. And so we've done Food for Thought, Habitat for Humanity, Operation Christmas Child. Those are kind of our mainstays. But we've also added a couple new things that we did, a couple opportunities to serve our community, both on campus and off campus. And you'll see it right here, actually. We had a picnic table assembly, which was kind of neat and cool. So with the mask and COVID and things like that, gathering spaces outside has been rather limited, but we've been able to increase that through a service project that our RAs and some other students were able to assemble some picnic tables. We even partnered with a Woodside Bike Park to create more recreational space for the local community. And so that's been really interesting and fun. Oh, and also the campus beautification project that we did this past summer. Interesting to note on that, we actually had incoming freshmen that weren't even starting their student experience yet, that came out for that. And I thought that was really special, and I thought that was a testament of the kind of student that comes to Catawba and the type of student that plays and enjoys and studies here at Catawba College. So that was a really beautiful thing. And so we've done a lot of different activities, and you might be wondering how one might find themselves with this information for these wonderful service activities. And so the way that we kind of get our information out is we distribute through the Dis List All Catawba emails about our service activities. We've been utilizing our new campus ministry Instagram to get people in the know and try to reach the students where they're at in the digital age. And then we've also started an application or using an application rather called Remind, which has been really neat because it pushes notifications to students' phones and there again meets them where they're at in terms of the digital age and their phone and things like that. So we've done a lot of cool things, as you can see, through Volunteer Catawba, and we're looking to do a lot of cool things in the future. So thanks for listening to me for just a few minutes and giving me some of your time. And I'm so glad to see your faces tonight, and thank you.
You just heard about some of the programs under the wide umbrella of Catawba's campus ministry. It goes without saying that a lot of funding is necessary to make these programs possible. Whether it is our current students, alumni, clergy, or even high school students, most of the participants of these programs are able to learn more about the faith through these offerings without any cost to them. In fact, this often makes the difference in them having the opportunity to participate. I will now invite to the podium Rebecca Davis, a Catawba sophomore from Clemens, North Carolina, who is very active in the ministry programs and a Discover alumni. She will tell us more about the funding that makes all these programs possible.
Current and future students are very fortunate that when the present campaign, the Mind, Body, Soul campaign, was designed, the decision was made to include funding that would address the needs of the campus ministry program, as well as provide programs like Clergy Thriving and assure future maintenance and preservation of the Nolan Chapel. Recognizing funding that has underwritten many of these programs in recent years has come from the grants that have limited life. The children of former campus pastor Porter Sewell joined with the Wade Hampton Shuford family to create the Endowment Fund as part of this campaign. Earnings from this Endowment Fund will provide ongoing support for the Clergy Thriving program, the Discover program, the Retreat program that is so popular among students and also helpful to the faith development process. These programs make a tremendous difference in the kinds of experience that students at Catawba have. A difference not limited to the time on campus as students, but also a difference which will continue throughout our lives. On behalf of all current and future Catawba students, I wish to express profound gratitude to all that have contributed to this fund and all who continue to support the Catawba campus ministry in so many ways. And now I would like to recognize Ms. Meg Dees, Vice President for Development, who will share with us an update on the campaign.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you, Dr. Clapp, for inviting me tonight. It's great to be with you all here. I'm glad we were still able to find a way to have this special event. The Mind, Body, and Soul campaign kicked off 2 years ago in October of 2018, and we were very excited to include several priorities for campus ministry. The overall campaign had a goal of about $34 million, and as you might guess, mind is academic programs, body is athletics, and soul is campus ministry. To date, I'm excited to announce we've raised about $45 million, so we're well over our goal, but we had very specific projects we were trying to accomplish. So we still have a ways to go. I told Dr. Clapp for a long time that soul was in the lead. You had the most gifts. You had, for a while, you finished off a couple projects pretty quickly. As was said a moment ago, we raised money to restore the organ. And that project is complete. I'm thrilled to say we raised $341,000, and we were able to renovate the organ as well as add a new electronic component to it. And I hope all of you have had the opportunity to hear it because it's magnificent. In line with that, we really wanted to have an endowment for the chapel, which would also include giving us funds to continue to maintain the organ. And we're excited to announce that we have a $1 million planned gift from someone, so we know that that endowment will be established. Now, we're not going to stop. We had a goal of $1 million, but I think we'd love to have $5 million one day so that we can maintain that beautiful building in the way it deserves to be. We also had the $1 million grant that you received from the Lilly Center for the enrichment of alumni and student activities, which she's talked about. I think it's the Clergy Network, so we're thrilled to have that. And then as they talked about, we had this goal of raising $1 million for an endowment that would support these campus ministry programs that we've heard about that are so important to our students in our college. We had $500,000 worth of challenge gifts for this fund, and we've named 2 funds. One was named after Ken Clapp. I know that's not what he necessarily was looking for, but the Sywells really wanted to honor Dr. Clapp, and also the Hamp Shuford Fund. So we have those 2 funds. And as of today, we've raised right at about $289,000 towards that $500,000 match. So we've still got a little ways to go. We've got to raise about $278,000 for that fund, but we're working hard on that, and we're going to meet our goal, and hopefully we'll even go over so that we can continue to provide these wonderful programs. So I thank you all for inviting me, and I thank you all for your support of this exciting campaign.
Thank you, Ms. Dees. Among the people who have been most supportive of the campus ministry at Catawba are a group of persons who have been honored with the Catawba Church College Award. We now come to that point in our program to recognize another recipient of this award. Before we do that, we would like to express special appreciation of previous recipients. Inaugural recipients were Mr. Claude Abernethy Jr. and Mr. Wade Hampton Shuford Jr. The following year, the award was presented to the Reverend Dr. Richard Cheek, the Reverend Dr. Barbara Kirshner Daniel, the Reverend Dr. Tom Hamilton, the Reverend Kristen Gerner Vaughn, the Reverend June Grubb, Mr. Greg Alcorn, the Reverend Larry Bullock, Mr. Barry Leonard, the Reverend Dr. Don Flick and Miss Joanne Flick, the Reverend Harold Holsty, the Reverend Bobby Bonds, and last year's recipients were Dick and Linda Sywell, and Jim and Marty Davold. We are delighted that one of the former recipients is with us this evening as a guest of Mrs. Shepherd, and I invite the Reverend June Grubb to stand and let us recognize her. Also, we are most grateful that the wife of former recipient, the late Reverend Harold Holsty, is with us, and I ask that Mrs. Eugenia Holsty stand. I now ask Merritt Robertson to join me as we announce the 2020 recipients. Merritt is a senior from Salisbury majoring in religion, and she has been on the Discover staff for 2 years and leads one of the campus ministry small groups.
Thank you, Wesley. Yes, I know I've been very blessed to work with Discover for the past few years. I think that it really helps initiate my calling to go into ministry, and I think that it really helped give me a vision for what I want to do in the future. And I've also been really blessed to help co-lead small groups this year as well. It really has been a blessing. In ministry, like other professions, you have people who are specialists in various aspects of their work. Some are outstanding pulpiteers, some are great administrators, some excel at counseling, some embody the meaning of the term pastor, one who cares for the flock. While the Reverend Banks Shepherd preached very thought-provoking and well-crafted sermons and was a compassionate counselor and provided quiet, understanding leadership to read about the needed change in the church and the communities he served, he was a consummate pastor. His love for God's people under his care was palpable. It transcended what they recognized as their needs to include what he knew was important to them, such as overcoming prejudice and working for more inclusive communities. This led to his devotion to improving race relations and encouraging parishioners' involvement in community development programs. Ministry of this type is not accomplished alone. Banks Shepherd was able to be successful in these efforts and make a difference in people's lives because he was supported by a devoted wife who brought a multitude of talents to the visioning, the planning, the enlistment of others in the cause. At the same time, she was providing her own unique ministry as she taught in the public schools in the communities where they lived and showed care and encouragement for countless youth. Banks never forgot the role Catawba College had played in providing him an education that opened the doors to his ministry, and throughout his lifetime was an ambassador for Catawba and faithful supporter of the college's efforts to educate young people for lives informed by faith. Euleen grew up in Salisbury and had her own ties to Catawba through First United Church of Christ. Recognition of this couple's contribution to church and college would be incomplete without mention of Banks' ability to lift spirits and make people laugh with his telling of jack tales and demonstrations of the proper use of G-Hob Wimmy-Diddle. Banks Shepherd's life of service to his Lord and to his college and his family came to an end when he succumbed to cancer. But tonight we remember and give thanks for his life, and we honor his life mate in ministry, Miss Euleen Fisher Shepherd, for her contributions. I ask that Miss Shepherd come forward and that President Nelson may present her the 2020 Catawba Church College Award.
Well, good evening, everyone. And it's my pleasure, Ms. Shepherd, to get to present this to you. And I'm so grateful that we could gather in person on this occasion. So let me read the citation. The Catawba College 2020 Church College Award. Brought together by their involvement in the life and organizations of their denomination, this couple chose to dedicate their lives to serving God by serving God's people in local congregations of the Southern Synod and the Western Association of the Southern Conference of the United Church of Christ. Their ministry has been truly a partnership, whereby wife and husband supported one another in their efforts to share God's love through personal example, through teaching, and through community involvement in humble but impactful ways. Your commitment to improving race relations, to the creation of the Eastern Catawba County Cooperative Ministry, to justice, and to improving the communities in which you lived and worked has been exemplary. In recognition of the leadership you have provided in strengthening Christian education and youth work, in championing the preservation of the history of the Evangelical and Reformed Church, in supporting the Blowing Rock Conference Center and United Church Homes and Services, in being an ambassador for and supporting Catawba College in numerous ways, the campus ministry program of Catawba College takes joy in honoring with this Church College Award the Reverend Banks DeRoy posthumously and Euleen Fisher Shepherd on this 27th day of October in the year of our Lord, 2020. Congratulations.
I just want to thank you and tell you I think my husband would be very humbled by this award and appreciative of it, and will continue to support Catawba College as he would have. And we thank you very much.
Thank you. All right.
Wish to express our appreciation to two of the Shepherds' children who were able to make it this evening. I would also like to express our appreciation to everyone who was a part of preparing for and making this evening possible. Special thanks are extended to Mrs. Penny Rice, Executive Assistant for the Lilly Center and Catawba Campus Ministry, to the Catawba Conferences, Chartwell's Food Service, and Miller Davis Agency for making the video available to those who are experiencing the evening remotely. I hope you all have a great rest of your night, and thank you so much for being here.